Hey guys, welcome back to TomGirl. It is football season and we have former pro player Ralph Brown. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
We have a special intro song here for you, Ralph. Remember this from the days? Yes. All right, guys, I am so excited for this. I screw up that intro every time. I'm so sorry, but it's because I'm excited. So Ralph Brown, we went to school together at Nebraska. He's Hall of Famer from Nebraska football. And this song right here was your guys' tunnel walk you came out to.
Yes, I have the chills already. I want to go play football and bang my head on something.
This song, for those of you who haven't gone to a game in Nebraska, everybody says this is one of the best places to see a game. Wouldn't you agree that it really is?
Yeah, it is. And you know how they say there's no place like Nebraska? There isn't.
Yeah.
There isn't. It's a great place.
Yeah. So this tunnel walk became a tradition, I think, probably shortly before you got there. But yeah, they follow that. There's this whole animation. They follow down, and the players you're in your locker room. You're walking down. There's a whole tunnel you walk to before you run on the field and enter what they call as the Sea of Red. So anyway, Shot Clean gave me that today. So he wanted to say hi to you and put that out there. So anyway,
I love Shot.
He's the best. All right, I forgot, where can everybody follow you at on social media?
Well, on Twitter, it's Ralph D. Brown, and then on Instagram, it's I am Ralph B.
Alrighty, guys. Okay, real quick, before we get going with Ralph's interview, we have just a little business to take care of here. So, we thank you so much for your support here at AfterBuzz, and we just have some really exciting news. But whether you're a new listener or a longtime AfterBuzz fan, you know that we're the world's #1 destination for TV coverage. Well, starting next month, we'll be expanding our content beyond just after shows to bring you a whole slate of new content, formats, and guests. Some more shows kind of like this TomGirl show. So if you're loving watching this, tune into some of these other ones. So our after shows aren't going anywhere. They're simply evolving. Most of the shows you love only air for part of the year, yet during the rest of the year, these shows have news constantly breaking that you want to talk about. So as the ESPN of TV talk, we know it's our job to cover it. We'll have in-depth coverage, show coverage for comedy, drama, animated, truly anything you can imagine. Nothing is off limits. And given our no limits approach to TV coverage, we realize that sometimes it can be hard to find the shows you love, and we listened. We're restructuring the website, shows, and our platforms to make it easier to find what you're looking for. Our YouTube channel will be divided into 9 sections by genre: dramas, comedies, reality competition, wrestling and sports, animation, sci-fi, fantasy, superheroes, red carpets, and lastly, our own featured and original content. That's a lot of stuff, guys. There's a lot to be excited about, but it won't happen all overnight. As we develop, we'll be experimenting to cater to your TV desires, which means your participation and feedback will be essential to deliver these custom shows. To keep up to date with everything, be sure to sign up for our monthly newsletter launching in September, and check out our AfterBuzz Weekly with Megan Stecher. All right, guys, so yeah, let us know what shows, what you're liking, what you want more of, and how we're doing. We'll listen. All right, so to Ralph.
What's up?
Okay, so much to talk about. So I want to first start, let's go back to just your high school career. So you played at like one of the most well-known sports schools here in LA.
Yes,
right?
I played at Bishop Amat when I was in high school. They had a lot of tradition there. They had guys that went on to the NFL. Most of the guys at my high school went on to play at USC, but when I was in high school, we were ranked the #1 team in the nation. My junior year, and before that, we were ranked top in the state. So it was awesome, my years in high school.
And you won a championship in high school as well, correct?
Yes, I did, my senior year.
Yeah, so that just runs in you're used to these championships.
Yeah, it's so many championships. It's pretty cool.
But you actually got recruited for high school, even, is that correct?
Yes, I did. When I was playing Pop Warner football, the high school coaches came over and said, hey, look, you need to come to Bishop Amat, and they kind of recommended it, and I heard about the school, and I said, hey, look, let me go to Bishop Amat. And the crazy thing is I grew up in Baldwin Park, and Lawrence Phillips, who played at Nebraska, he played at Baldwin Park High. I wanted to go to BP, just like he did, but Bishop Amat kind of was on a different level of high school play, of athletes and what they do with their academics.
So from what age did you know, like, you were full force ahead with this, that you wanted to then pursue going to college?
Well, it was probably when I was like 12 years old. When I was 12 years old, it was like my 3rd year of junior All-American football, and then knowing I can score a lot of touchdowns, I started to look at a lot of the football games with my father, and then said, hey, look, I want to play that as well, not only in high school, and I want to play it in college football. So I started to pay attention to the games, and I started to get like the chills and the itch, and say, hey, look, hopefully I can be there one day.
Do you still have, you had a record for 6 touchdowns? Is that still standing? Or
Yeah,
is
but
it,
I think there's somebody that tied it one game. He could have broke it, but I think the coaches pulled him because they didn't want him to break my record. So hats off to the coaches.
pay him
that
a
didn't
little.
let him break my record.
That's awesome. So talk about the recruiting process a little bit. What other schools were you interested besides Nebraska, or when did you know Nebraska was your choice?
Well, almost everyone in the United States was recruiting me at the time, except for like a couple of the Florida schools. So I broke it down, narrowed it down to UCLA, USC, Nebraska. Then Notre Dame kind of backed out at the end because they thought I was going to USC, but I did Colorado as well. It's crazy that Colorado was in the mix, but it came down to academics. It came down to structure. It came down to commitment. And what Nebraska did was they laid out academics. They had a tradition there that was just leaps and bounds ahead of everybody else. And Coach Osborne with his energy and how the players were when I went to the campus that day for the weekend on my recruiting trip was just different than all the other schools.
Tell me about playing for Coach Osborne. How was that?
Oh, he's the man. I mean, they say, you know, people call Coach Osborne God. It's for a real good reason why. It's because he predicts a lot of the games. He studies a lot. He treats everybody really well. He's a loving guy. He treats everybody like his kids. And if you're not from Nebraska or you've never been there or been around him, he carries this aura about him that it's great, and it kind of passes out and it reverberates when he's around people.
I was watching as I was researching some of the big plays like the Matt Davidson kick, that got you guys into the national championship game.
Missouri.
Yeah, right. And even there was the fans were already on the field because they thought the game was over. And then when that play happened and there was so much excitement, and he was still just like so stoic, and, like not emoting at all. Like, was there ever a time when he did ever where you saw a big emotion from him, or was he always just that stoic, composed guy that we saw?
He's not always stoic, and one thing is mainly more in practices than the games, because he likes to kind of make practices hard. In the games, make sure he stays calm so the players don't basically feed off that energy. But when Coach Osborne's mad, he doesn't cuss. He'll say things like "by golly" and things like that. That's when you know he's really mad, because he doesn't say anything close to that.
I remembered always seeing him running around the football field, like in the morning early. That was one of my fun campus memories of seeing Coach Osborne. Yeah. Talk about moments for you. Let's talk about this first. So there's a tradition in Nebraska where you guys get your black shirts that was started by Bob Devaney in 1964. Do you remember getting your first black shirt?
Yeah, I do. What's crazy was I was 17 years old and I got a black shirt. And the people are still in high school. So when I got there on campus, they kind of pushed me to basically kind of be the starting cornerback, and I did a pretty good job. But when I got my black shirt, I almost cried because I was 17 years old, and I'm around like guys that I think are like grown men, like Jared Talmadge and Grant Wistrom and Mike Minner and all those guys. And I get a black shirt, and I'm just 17 years old. And I called my parents, and it was like one of the biggest achievements of my life at the time, just based upon how hard it was to get a black shirt and the people I knew I was competing with. And it was amazing. Charlie McBride came over and talked to me and congratulated me too. And
you were like the first freshman in years to actually start as a freshman. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was since World War II. And, for me, I didn't really look at it at the time until like this last Hall of Fame I went into, and I kind of looked at my accolades. I was like, wow, that's a big deal. So it was amazing. It was amazing for me at the time to get that black shirt and do what I did for my freshman year.
Yeah, we do actually have, go ahead. We have a video that was played at your Hall of Fame. So for those of you out there, you can learn a little more about you.
Ralph Brown II. Regarded as one of the best cornerbacks in Blackshirt's history, Brown was a 3-time All-Big 12 pick, a 2-time All-American, and 1997 national champion during his career from 1996 to 1999. The Hacienda Heights, California native holds the Nebraska record with 52 consecutive starts after he became the first position player in Nebraska football history to start his first game as a true freshman. The versatile athlete finds himself firmly entrenched in the school record books, ranking first with 50 career pass breakups and third with 11 career interceptions. Playing primarily right corner, Brown is credited with 143 career tackles, 88 of which were solo, and was named a Jim Thorpe Award semifinalist in 1999. He helped the Blackshirts post 45 wins in 4 years, 3 times leading the Big 12 in rush defense. A 5th-round pick by the New York Giants in the 2000 NFL Draft, he played 10 years of professional football for the Giants, Vikings, and Browns before capping off his career with the Arizona Cardinals.
That's it.
That's cool.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's why I got the
it's pretty-
chills.
yeah. Yeah. So what were those feelings when you got inducted and you went back there?
Oh, it was just so humbling and just gratifying. And yeah, I just look back at my career. I'm so blessed of what I got to experience, going to the Hall of Fame twice at Nebraska and to the Sports Hall of Fame just recently. Just made me look back on my career and just actually see what I actually achieved. And it's, it kind of makes me get teary-eyed now.
yeah.
It's like, wow, what I actually did in my life from football.
Yeah, a lot. You should be very proud. You worked hard and you deserve all that,
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So let's talk about one of the game that clinched you guys getting the national championship was against Tennessee and was actually against Peyton Manning, and you guys smoked him. How funny is that now to watch? Just as your college players then, but as his career evolved and yours did, and just to know that that's who you guys creamed in that game.
Well, it feels good. I mean, it was great because we knew we had some great talent on the defensive line with Jason Peter and Grant Wistrom, and Terrell Farley was on that team as well, and those guys were great guys. So playing against Peyton Manning, frustrating him, knowing he couldn't pass the ball, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time that ever touched a football, to be able to win a national championship against him was just great.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, before we move on to some more of your pro career, I have one little clip that I want to remind you of from college. And this was one of the first times that I got to work with you guys. And we used to do called player animations. Do you remember this? When you and Mike were, instead of the Blues Brothers, you were the Brown Brothers?
Oh,
You
yes,
remember?
yes. People still think we're brothers because of that.
Yeah. I don't know if we have that clip. Yeah. Because everybody did think you were brothers. Yeah. So. He's got it. Oop, it's coming. It's so funny because I remember the time, so I worked for Husker Vision, which we covered these guys' games. We came up with these player animations. So after you guys would do a big play, that would play. We had Joel Makovica was the Mack truck and all these silly ones. Anyway, I just had to bring that back out. I hadn't seen it for so long. And at the time, I remember feeling like we did more with it. I didn't realize we sat there on so
Just
long.
that?
Now it maybe would go back and change a little of that production value, but. Anyway, it was fun, and you guys were good sports about it. All right, so let's go into your pro career for a little bit here. Feelings, how did it, feel when you got drafted and you're ready to go into the NFL?
Well, it was like a tale of 2 days because I didn't get drafted on the first day. I was so frustrated. So the second day, I was like, you know what? Forget the NFL. I'm going to go to sleep. So I slept through basically the fourth and half of the fifth round because I got picked up at 120th pick in the fifth round. So I get a phone call. My mom taps me and tells me to wake up. She said, the New York Giants are on the phone. I'm like, what? So then I pick up the phone and I start talking to, I think it was Jim Fossil, the head coach at the time. He says, hey, we want to draft you. And then my whole demeanor and personality just changed. I started getting excited. I was like, well, I'm going to go into the NFL. I go into the kitchen. I tell my mom and say, hey, Mom, the New York Giants are going to draft me. But at that time, when you talk to the coaches, your name doesn't run across the ticker yet. So it's not like a reality yet. So then, I start talking to them and they say, hey, look, tell your family to go watch the ticker because your name's about to go across the board. And then when the name goes across the board, that's when you see all the cheers and the roars and everybody hugging. So it's just so surreal once that happens. It's like, wow, all this hard work. I'm going to the NFL now and I'm going to be playing for the New York Giants. But one crazy thing is 2 nights before I got drafted to the New York Giants, I had a dream I was wearing number 22 for the New York Giants. No lie, in all white. And the New York Giants drafted me. So I don't know, maybe I'm a little
premonition.
Yeah.
Yeah, you put it out there. Yeah. What are some of the things that maybe surprised you most about being in the NFL? Maybe something that you didn't expect or lessons you learned?
I didn't expect to see how fast like some of the big defensive and offensive linemen were. You don't see them as that fast when you're in college. When you get up to the pro level, you have guys that are like 260, 300 pounds that can run like people that are 250. So it's like amazing watching these guys run up and down the field, and the quarterbacks as well. Me playing corner, watching the quarterbacks throw, how they can fit balls in windows and throw the ball like accurately. It's amazing. It's something like, it's so fascinating.
Who were some of your favorite either players to play with or like opponents to go up against?
Well, one of my favorite players when I was on the Vikings was playing with Randy Moss. To me, I think is the greatest receiver of all, no, the best receiver of all time. The greatest receiver is Jerry Rice. But just playing against him was just amazing. How tall he was, how fast he was, how he could catch the football, and just fascinating. You know, just to see like a human like that who can make plays as he did on the football field. And you just get to experience a lot of funny people in the NFL, because it's like we're kids, you know, you make good money, you get to travel, and you get a lot of characters throughout the NFL, coaches and players alike.
You have a great story about Randy Moss that you tell when you're giving motivational speeches. Can you share that about when you said, I'll go up against him? Can you share that? Because that's something I think everybody hears all the good things all the time or the successes, but maybe sharing some time when, you know.
Yeah, well, when I got picked up by the Vikings, they were going through one-on-one drills with the cornerback and against the wide receivers, and Randy Moss kept beating some of the guys on the defensive side of the ball. So I told the coach, I said, hey, look, put me in. I'll shut Randy Moss down. And then, you know, I get up against him. I think Randy Moss is about 6'5", 6'4", somewhere around there. I'm 5'10", so I'm giving about 7 inches off of him. But the good thing with me, I was like really confident. I felt like I could match up with anyone. So when they get into the red zone where you're going to go into the end zone, he's probably like 15 yards away from the end zone. He runs a corner route to the corner of the end zone, and I run to slip the route. Basically, I read the route before he got there. So when I go and jump up to block the ball, when he puts his hands up in the air, he caught it on the opposite side of his head, almost without looking, and then he put the ball on top of my head. And then he says next, when he called it picking peanuts off your head. So every day before practice, he would say, we're going to be picking peanuts off your guys' head. And it was true, because Randy Moss did that all the time.
But I like what you tell the kids when you speak is that, but you can't be afraid to fail. Like, it was better, you at least had the courage to be like, I'm going to do it, and take that chance, versus if you never tried, you know, so.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And I was never afraid to fail. I'm still not afraid to fail now. And I think, a lot of people, kids, I share that in my motivational speeches. But, you know, it's funny. I had a chance to go up against him again, so I truly wasn't afraid, because I knew if he beat me, I could go up against him again later in practice or tomorrow as well. But it's fun having a teammate like Randy Moss.
Yeah. All right, and so you also went to 2 Super Bowls.
Yes.
Talk about those experiences.
Wow. Well, sadly, the first one, I was on IR. But it was just fascinating, because I had been winning championships on every level. So when I get to the NFL, my rookie year, I go to the Super Bowl, and it's against the Ravens. And I think that year we won at home against the Minnesota Vikings. And then during the national anthem, the craziest thing about the Super Bowl is when you go out there during warm-ups, there's not a lot of people out there. There's a lot of people on the sidelines, like the press. But when you go back into the locker room and come back out, you realize that you're actually playing for the Super Bowl, with how crowded it is. All the famous people are in the stands. How many millions of people are watching? In that day or night, actually the stealth bomber flew over our head, and it was just this quiet like bat. And it was like eerie. Watching the stealth bomber kind of go over our head, and I was like, this is cool. I'm actually in the Super Bowl. So that was awesome, my rookie year.
Yeah. So then the next time was with the Cardinals.
Yes. And I played in that one, and that one was so cool.
How do you, when you're playing in that and you have all this stuff going on, what are techniques that you use to keep your mind focused, to keep yourself like in the game and, you know, concentrated?
Well, the good thing about me is I played in so many championships that I kind of already knew the process. But the one thing I made sure that I did was make sure that I focused on the positive plays that I'm going to make sure I focus on studying, make sure I'm focused on doing my job, helping everyone else out, and not allowing the game to be too big for you. So if you let it become too big for you, you start to make mistakes, you start to overthink things. And in that game, I felt comfortable, made some plays. You know, we lost the game, but it was a great game on both sides of the ball, and I had a good time.
Talk a little bit about the preparation for games. Like, how much time do you spend, like, studying playbooks, watching film? The hours that go into get preparation?
Well, I spend hours. Hours at the practice facility before in the morning, probably an hour before practice would start, meetings would start, and I would spend about 2 hours after practice. And then when I get home, I would spend probably like 3 more hours watching tape. So, during the week, probably 6 hours a day plus practices and film work. So you go six times six, basically. That's 36 hours just studying film, reviewing, going over all the tendencies. And the great thing is about playing in the NFL, there's film guys that can break down tendencies, different formations. How many times does this guy catch the ball on third down? Where is he catching the ball? How does he release on certain routes? So then now you can pick up all these patterns against the wide receiver or your opponent, and it helps you. So there's a reason why when you see guys like me at defensive back get interceptions that are so clean in the NFL is because when you watch tape so many times, you just jump routes and you can get in interceptions and make plays.
And I've heard you, so you talk about watching their eyes and not even paying attention to the ball at all, waiting for their eyes. Tell some of the other tells that you look for in players.
Well, it's cool because the eyes don't lie, but wide receivers nowadays, like how Odell Beckham Jr. catches the ball, it's pretty tough now, but when I play, you still can watch the eyes, and because the eyes don't lie. So the eyes and the pupils kind of get bigger when the ball's coming, then they're going to catch the ball. So you basically wait for that. You look into their eyes, and then when their eyes get bigger, the ball's about to come. And when their hands go up, you either turn around and look for the ball, or you slap away into the pocket that's kind of up in the air like that. Just cool.
That's awesome. What other, any other like NFL moments, or it doesn't even have to be on the field, on the field, off the field, just memories that you're always gonna just carry with you for the rest of your life? I'm sure there's a bunch, but maybe some of the top ones.
There's so many. My first interception, it was in my third year, because my first year I was on IR. My second year I didn't even dress out. So basically I played in the NFL for 8 years, essentially playing. My first interception was against the Redskins, and it was just so great, and it felt good. But my first touchdown in the NFL was my fourth year against the Dallas Cowboys. We saw that on the tape there. So that was my first interception for a touchdown. And then just, going to the Super Bowl. My rookie year, enjoying that, telling my family we're going to the Super Bowl, and then my ninth year doing it again with the Arizona Cardinals.
And how about moments where, like I was saying earlier, like it's great to always hear all the wonderful times, but I'm sure 10 years, a lot of ups and downs. Like, how'd you get through those moments where I know you were getting cut from one team and you bounce back? And talk about those moments where you have to dive inside and fight through, not being a national champ, not being at the top of your game all the time.
Oh, yeah. I mean, my rookie year was tough, but I'm going to tell you what was tougher. When I signed a contract with the Redskins, I bought a house in D.C., basically in Washington, in Virginia. I bought a house, and then I ended up getting cut. I didn't put any furniture in it. I got cut. So then when I go into my house like 2 days later, it hit me like a ton of bricks that I had to watch everyone playing their last preseason game. So I actually cried in my house. And I was like, God, please let me back into the NFL. I'll make sure I bust my butt and I give my all so I can make it last in the NFL. And I think that weekend, 2 cornerbacks end up getting injured and on IR. So then my agent calls me. He says, you can either go to Detroit or you can go to Minnesota. Let's see who basically can guarantee your contract or who will give you the most money or whatever it is. So Minnesota basically say, hey, look, we'll bring him in. Let's work him out, see where he is. My agent ended up guaranteeing my contract for those 2 years, which is great. And I went to Minnesota. So after that, I didn't get cut again for the rest of my career. And it was cool. But, yeah, there's a lot of ups and downs in the NFL. And for a lot of guys, you just have to keep pressing, keep going. And it's easy to relax once you're in the NFL. And I think I relaxed too much when I was with the Redskins. I partied too much in the offseason. And I paid the price for it. But fortunately, I had a chance to play again, and I stuck.
So what's your advice for when people are feeling, and it doesn't have to just be NFL, anybody who's got a goal, got something, and they're hitting that low part, like what's advice to get themselves through that?
Well, you just got to keep going and keep fighting and just know that the good times don't last and the bad times don't last, and everyone's going to stumble. It's a hurdle. Like me, I was like, man, what am I going to do now? Like I'm not playing football. I just purchased a house in D.C. So the best thing is just to keep going. And know that everything's going to work out. When you know, and I always say this, the power of knowing. And if the future's not here, but if you can just know and act like you know it's going to happen, for some reason, you'll pull yourself to that destiny, and it kind of works out how you want it to, or you'll achieve your goal at the end.
All right, well, let's move on to talking. Oh, I think he's been showing some of your photos up there. Let's talk about now. You're transitioning into, you're doing sports broadcasting, motivational speaking. I think we have some shots of you doing your Fox Sports Speed around. Yeah, there's motivational speaking. Yeah. There you go. There's some too. Yeah, there you go. So how has that been to transition to now your career off the field?
It's been awesome. I actually enjoy this challenge bigger than playing in the NFL. And the reason why is because I was blessed with a gift. I was blessed to have speed. You know, now I have to hone like all these gifts and new gifts and how to speak in front of people and how to build and be a businessman and give back to kids and all this other stuff. And this post-career, the second chapter and half of my life is more fascinating and intriguing to me than football was, because there's no cap on how much money I can make. I can make as much money as I can. I can give to as many people as I can. I kind of create my own schedule. And now I feel like being in the NFL and playing football was basically kind of a platform to get to do what I want to do now, which is give back to kids, do motivational speaking, teach people how to get out of ruts, build businesses, create partnerships with people, and do broadcasting, talk about the NFL, talk about football, and teach people and share my voice and my experience on the TV.
So people can see you covering for Fox Sports West, correct?
Yes.
And yeah, so tell everybody where, like, what games you cover and where you're also going to Nebraska for some games and stuff.
Yeah, well, you can follow me on at Fox Sports West, but it's the Prep Zone. So a lot of times it's on their app, streamed on their app, or it'll be the game of the week. So I kind of jump up and down with the game of the week, or if not, you can get the Fox Sports Go app, and then you can look on that and look for the game. There's about 5 or 6 high school games. You try to find which game I'm calling, and you can hear me call the game. And also I call but broadcast a few games in Nebraska. I do a live pre and post game show with an ABC affiliate out there, KLKN. I do that a few times a year, and it's fun. Get back to Nebraska, get my palate quenched with being in Lincoln and watch the game, but I also get to kind of educate the fans who want to hear from me and be around football as well.
Is there anything you go to when you go back to Nebraska? Like, are you a Runza fan, or is there any, like, you know, food or spot that you have to visit when you go back there?
Oh, it's always Runza. It's always Runza, and I think everybody that's from Nebraska or goes back there loves Runza. I mean, their food is tremendous.
It is. All right, sorry, I digressed a little bit. I had to ask one. So were you surprised about now being in the broadcasting, how much prep you still had to do now on that end, as far as, you know, knowing the players, just preparing yourself to do the broadcast?
Yeah, I mean, it's so much, and it's like watching a movie to me. You know, every time you watch film or every time you read something new pops out at you, and that's why it's so fascinating for me to study football, because it's like watching a movie. Some of your favorite movies, you pull out like a new scene and you call your friend and you say, hey, remember this part? Or that's how it is with studying football. I love football. I love what it delivers to you every time you study it and research it, and it just fulfills me. It's something I would do for free.
I saw you in one of your motivational things. You show the kids little clips from Bambi.
Oh yeah,
and
yes.
Yeah, talk about lessons with that.
It's just life lessons, and I try to pull something that was different, and it's just somebody who kind of has your back, you know, in certain moments, and I didn't know where to pull it from, but I was like, hey, you know what? Let me look at Bambi. Thumper was like so cool how he supported Bambi and he was there for Bambi. So, you know, everyone needs somebody there like Thumper in their life.
Yeah, talk about mentors, because you know you tell the kids that, but even for everybody, talk about, you really feel how important getting mentors in your life is at whatever level.
Oh, it's so important, and I was fortunate because my rookie year when I was in the NFL, Michael Strahan was my mentor. Jason Sehorn was one of my mentors. Jesse Armstead was one of my mentors. So I've had mentors like my whole life. When I went to Nebraska, Grant Wistrom, Mike Minner, Michael Booker. And it's just been awesome my entire life to basically have mentors. I have mentors now that run big companies. I have mentors now that broadcast. I have mentors now in like basically almost every area of my life, financial mentors. So, and it's good. So you can learn from them. They've been there. They're experts at what they do, and they can pass down that knowledge and help you get to where you want to get to.
As you were also listing the names, it made me think somebody else also that you know is Jesse Palmer, the former Bachelor, and you were on The Bachelor on his season, right?
Yes, I was. Yes,
yeah,
I was.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, well, Jesse Palmer, you know, hats off to him and his career. He's doing a tremendous job. All the girls love him, and he's just become a great friend of mine. When I played with the New York Giants, I think it was his 3rd year when he was in the NFL, and he's like, hey, he's like, Ralph, man, he's like told all his close friends, he's like, they want me to be on The Bachelor. He's like, I'm thinking about it. And we're all like, man, go ahead and do it. He's like, I don't know if it was the Coach Coughlin. He says, I don't know if Coach Coughlin's going to like it. And he's like, man, I'm nervous to do it. And we're like, hey, do it. So he ended up, you know, signing a contract to do the show. And then he's like, hey, look, I want you to be in my apartment. When we walk in and we'll start chatting, you're going to be on The Bachelor with me. I'm like, cool, that's cool. So, you know what happens from there? You know, he became The Bachelor
Yeah.
or the show, and he's just a heartthrob, and he has a great career now. So hats off to him.
That is my guilty pleasure for reality. It's the only reality show that I watch, but I remember watching it and I saw you and I'm like, oh my God, Ralph's on the
Yeah.
show. And so would you ever be The Bachelor? I know we talked about that once before.
Yeah, you know what? No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't do it. I mean, having my option, you know, it'd be easier probably to pick, you know, between all the women there probably would be much easier, but I wouldn't do it. I've been asked to actually go on the show a few times as like one of the people who wanted to date the Bachelorette. And then I've been approached kind of, hey, look, man, why don't you try out for The Bachelor as well? I said, nah, I don't want to do that.
No. If you had to pick one of the former Bachelorettes, who would you give your final rose to?
I don't even know their
Nope.
names. I don't know their names. I don't watch The Bachelorette much at all.
That's fine. I don't expect you to. This is, you know, I had to ask. Oh, funny. All right. Okay. You are doing. You were the face for Motive Ring. Is that how I was saying that
Yes,
correctly?
Motive Ring.
Motive
Yes.
Ring. Yeah. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, it's just basically an active ring that basically tracks your motion, tracks your sleeping habits, and it's a ring that you wear, you know, throughout the day. You can wear it all the time, but you have to charge it after a while. There's an app. It tracks how your sleeping patterns are. It tracks, you know, your food, your calories, and all that. And there's so many things that's good with it because it's just a ring. And it's cool because when you go to sleep, then when you wake up, it's funny. I don't have mine on. Mine broke the other days, and I have another one at my house. But
We won't say it broke.
Yeah,
That's
don't
not
say
good
it.
products.
Yeah, I broke it. I broke it trying to. I won't say why. But yeah, it's a great ring. It's a great product, and it can help you with your sleeping patterns. And once you can go back and look and say, okay, I walked this many steps. I slept in these different intervals throughout the day, and I ate this many calories, and you track it and you look back, and then you basically can adjust to what you're doing throughout the week, and it'll suggest things for you as well.
I like that because sometimes I'm not a big, you know, watch wearer with some of those things, but I'm always wearing a ring no matter what. So I think that product is pretty cool out there for everybody. All right, so you also, we're going to get, anything else, work-wise now that you're currently working on or that you want to talk about?
I'm actually going to start my book at the end of this month or at the beginning of next month. So hopefully it'll be out next year in the spring. And I'm excited about that, to go on my tour, speaking about it and kind of, you know, giving back and letting people kind of tap in and read about my life, the ups and the downs and post-football, you know, the downsides, the championships I won, and just kind of tap into my life so I can share that, hey, look, I'm human as well. I've been through some of the same things that people that are watching the show, people that are, you know, out there normally have been through. I've been through some of those same things, and a lot of people don't think athletes or people with high status have been through the pitfalls or the downfalls that they experience as well.
Ah, great. Well, I'll look forward to reading that. Yeah, I think that's wonderful. And that's what I said when I was watching a lot of the clips on YouTube and stuff of you. That's one thing that I admire most, is that you're not afraid to talk about the failures, or, you know, you don't just sugarcoat everything. You talk about, yeah, this time sucked, or, you know, this, but how you pulled yourself through it and how other people can do the same. Because I think especially right now with social media, when everybody's out there posting all the most wonderful aspects of their life all the time, that sometimes, you know, there is people getting depressed about their lives and going through these dark moments. So I think it's wonderful that you're willing to share all those kind of things and open the curtain.
It takes a lot. It takes a lot from as a man, as a human, to be able to share your vulnerabilities, and it empowered me when I started sharing my vulnerabilities. It didn't basically break me down. So I felt like, wow, this is empowering me. Let me share this to more people so they can feel like they can do it as well.
It's awesome. Awesome. All right. So you call yourself a foodie.
Yes.
So let's talk about food a little bit, like food and fashion, because you always do. We talk about fashion and adventure stuff here, but you're always in fashion on point. So
thank you.
Let's talk about, what are your go-to men's fashion lines? What do you like?
I mean, I go from everywhere, from like expensive to like cheap to like the stores where people, the consignment places where people are giving their clothes away. So I love Hugo Boss. I love going to different, you know, Buffalo Exchange has things. I go to different boutiques. I go online, Ralph Lauren. There's so many different things, and I think if if you watch different people and kind of pluck from different styles, and you can kind of make your own. I've always had my own style, but I respect a lot of people's style. I love fresh, and I've always loved it.
All right. Okay, now let's talk food. 'Cause I know
love
you're probably
food.
yeah. His Instagram will be a lot of food pictures. What's your
Yes.
favorite food, favorite drink? Share some good spots with us.
Okay, my favorite food is steak. It's always been a steak, medium rare with a nice glass of wine, some fingerling potatoes, some asparagus, maybe some mushrooms on top possibly. But I love a steak. But there's some great restaurants in LA to serve great steaks. You have Mastro's, you have Craig's. Republique is a great restaurant in LA, and I love food. I love dessert. I love old fashions. To drink an old fashioned, and I just love wine. Wine is great, and if you can get the right pairing with the right food, you're in heaven.
Do you cook as well?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I started cooking about 6 years ago. Started going on YouTube, practicing because I have kids, and I'm like, man, I don't want to be the dad that just feeds them cheeseburgers and pizza. So I started practicing cooking different pastas and different types of food to cook for my kids. Over the past 6 years, I've become pretty good at cooking.
Since you brought up the kids, how has being a dad changed you or changed your outlooks?
It's made me more responsible. I'm not as immature as I used to be, but I love kids. I mean, just watching them grow. And the fascinating thing about having kids is you get to watch yourself grow up. It's like, that's me.
Yeah.
I'm growing up again in somebody else's body, and you just get to see kind of the pitfalls and their struggles and their personality traits. And what I try to do as a father is not try to go against my kids' personality. So whatever their personality is, even if it's tough, even if it's a little more controlling, I try to make sure I kind of tailor what I do with that personality and not try to break their spirits from what's naturally inside of them. My son is a spirited kid. He loves everybody. He's a free spirit. My daughter is more of an introvert. She gives love late. So a lot of people say, hey, look, why isn't your daughter giving love to me? Or I'm like, hey, stick around long enough, and once she says, hey, look, I love you, or I miss you, you're in. And my son gives love to everybody.
That's funny. Are there any future athletes possibly?
Yeah, both of them.
Both, yeah.
Both of them are. They're both future athletes. My son's fast, and my daughter's athletic. They both play basketball right now.
Good one.
Yeah. She loves it. I'm like, you need to play volleyball too. She's like, no, just basketball. I'm like, you'll be happy I put you in volleyball as well. So and my son talks about, hey, I want to do boxing. I want to play football. I think he wants to beat himself up like I do. I'm like, how about golf and baseball?
Yeah.
But I'm not going to pull him away from anything that he loves. So as my kids, if they love or want to experience something, I'm going to push them and give them the best expertise or coaching that I can.
Yeah, that's
Do you
great.
worry about the concussion situation in football with your kids?
Yeah. Sometimes I worry about the concussion situation, but for my son, I'm not going to let him play until he's probably 13 years old, 1 year before he gets into high school. So he'll have a lot of time to play other sports, and hopefully at that time, a lot of the people playing football won't be using their head as much, and it'll be a much safer game, hopefully.
That reminded me, I wanted to ask you one more question about Nebraska. How do you feel about, because when we were there were such great rivalries with like Colorado. They all hated us, and every time we went in there it was so hostile. But those rivalries were so fun. In Texas, how do you feel about the change of conference?
I love the change of conference. I just don't love that we don't have a rival. They're forcing these rivals on us. They're forcing Iowa. They're forcing Wisconsin. And those aren't real rivals. We really had a rivalry with Texas once it got built up. We had a rivalry with Colorado. And a lot of Nebraska fans say they weren't our rivals because we were winning national titles, but they were our rivals.
Yeah.
They were. They hated us. We hated them. Same with Texas. And that's a rival, and we're looking for them. We're almost lost, and we're trying to find a rivalry in Iowa and try to have a good game where someone can start it or kick it off. And it just hasn't happened. It doesn't make the season as fun as it used to be.
Yeah, that's how I feel too. It's tough, and plus you guys made it really, really fun, because like when my brother and I were there, you guys won 4 out of 5 national championships. We look back at that now, and we're like, no wonder why we're so freaking spoiled. We were there at like the best freaking. So the last 10 years have been very, very tough, very brutal.
They've been, to say the least. They've been very tough.
How do you think? I know everyone now asked this at the start of the year. How are the Huskers going to be this year?
They have a tough schedule. They're not as talented as they were before. We play Penn State, Ohio State. We have a tough schedule, and I'm hoping we can win 8 games this year. I'm hoping, because it's going to be tough, and that's not because we're not as good. It's just we have a tough schedule. And with what Coach Riley's doing, he's backloaded on the recruiting classes. You'll see in the next couple of years, the top talent is starting to come into the program. We have, a good quarterback in Tanner Lee, but I think this year's going to be tough in terms of our record.
And now, is there a pro team that you still follow or that you root for?
Yeah, a lot of people ask me that. I kind of, I was on about 5 teams total in the NFL, and they're like, if you had to pick one team, who do you root for? If I have to, I root for the New York Giants. And the reason why is because I still talk to the guys back there, the doctors back there. I still have some of their numbers. The equipment guys still talk to me. And if I go back to New Jersey and I want to hang out in the weight room or the locker room, to say, hey, come right in. And that feels good because I got drafted in the 5th round. I was only there for 4 years, and they treat me like I never left.
Ah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that about wraps us up for time. But we'll say you will be back in Nebraska. They're going to honor your guys' team this year at one of the games. You said on October 4th or 5th?
Yeah, October 5th, I think it is, or that weekend. They're going to honor us, and it's just so cool. And I think a lot of times you're excited about that time where it comes for you to get, honored, for your achievements at the school. So I can't wait to see the guys that we won championships with.
Yeah, you guys are such a great group, and I know the whole state will be so excited to see you
I know, because they want to reminisce and latch on for a weekend.
I know, right? But they want you to stay and play again.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's pick real quick. Each week we do a TomGirl of the Week. So for this week, our TomGirl of the Week is Sophia Bush. I chose her. She's on the show Chicago PD. And first of all, she's adorable, but she just did this Alaskan tour this week. She's been tweeting about it. It's all over her social media. And I love the fact that there she's drinking whiskey. That's what us TomGirls do. And she's just out exploring glaciers and taking in. She was on an expedition for Eddie Bauer. So if you want to see some beautiful pictures and follow her travels, check her out this week for that. All right, and I also want to say, you guys also want to follow JJ Watt right now. He's doing a lot of fundraising for Houston, which is amazing. I think he had a goal of 1 million, and he already hit that. Now he's up to trying to get 3 million. So if you guys want to help contribute to everybody in Houston, please do so. All right, Ralph, I think that's it. Tell everybody again where they can follow you and find you.
Twitter, it's Ralph D. Brown, and on Instagram, it's I am Ralph B. Follow me. I love talking football, and I love posting a lot of food.
All right. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you here again next week. Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV. From executive producers Maria
Views expressed herein
Menounos.
are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.